Reverend Steve Youngblood basically wants to slap a woman who disagreed with him. Apparently, this reverend from Iowa had posted these flyers on the back of his church, and they indicated that he wanted Justice David Wiggins to be taken out of their court system because of the fact that he voted to legalize same-sex marriage. Now, a woman in his church basically stood up against him because of the fact that if you are a religious organization, you are not allowed to endorse a political candidate. That will basically take away your tax exempt status.
In theory.
Exactly, but I mean, the reality is it doesn't. I wish I would see that enforced more often. Well, his reaction to her was that he'd like to slap her and her husband should rise up and correct her. He continues to write, "Don't call yourself a Christian and do that. We need to draw a line in the sand. We need to begin to say that at City Church, this is how we're going to be. What makes me madder is that this person's husband won't correct them. I don't like rebellious women. I don't like rebellious men either. They're even worse."
So she can't call herself a Christian after talking about taking down that thing to comply with federal law, but he can call himself a Christian after talking about slapping her.
Right.
We've talked about this in the past, not necessarily in the show, but that, look, there are some good things that come out of religion, obviously. There are certainly liberal churches that do great stuff, although I tend to feel that the more liberal they get and the more reasonable they get, they also tend to be less religious, less spiritual, less magical. Like they shed some of that and they gain common sense in exchange. But the conservative churches fundamentally seem to be interested in controlling people's behavior, particularly women. And this is just an example of that dark foundation for some of these churches, that when you really ask them their opinions on people, when somebody stands up to them, they will reveal their true nature to you, and it is one that is pretty anti-woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just don't understand how, as a woman, and I say this about women that support the Republican Party, I don't understand how you can be supportive of a church or super right-wing or religious when they don't care about their rights and they want to take it away. Oftentimes Republicans will either tweet to me or email me and they'll say, "I am not defined by my ovaries." No one's saying that you're defined by your ovaries, but when there is a group of people, right, that wants to take away your rights based on what your sex is, based on what your genitals are, then why would you support that group of people if they feel that you are inferior compared to other people, compared to men? That's unacceptable. Why? Look, I don't sit around telling men what they should do with their bodies, okay? I don't tell men how often they should masturbate. I don't tell men about what their grooming habits should be. And I don't tell men how many sex partners they should have, right? But the Republican Party is constantly telling women what they can and can't do with their bodies. And so are Christians. So how can you, as a woman, be supportive of that?
That not being defined by your ovaries thing seems at first glance to be kind of deep, but no, unfortunately they're concerned with your vagina, your clit, everything else. It's not just the ovaries, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They're gonna get to your breasts too eventually once they're done with your lower parts.